In this video, I'll be going over how to analyze a DNA gel using the Image Studio software. Now, if you did not set DNA analysis as your analysis type when you did the image acquisition, under the Shapes ribbon, you can choose DNA gel, or that can also be accessed through the Quick Start menu up here by choosing DNA gel. And so what you'll more than likely need to do is, first off, to click under the DNA analysis ribbon, DNA gel analysis ribbon, is to click on Redraw Boundary. And so you click and drag an area around the bands that you want to analyze, and then you set the number of lanes. And from here, the next thing that you want to click on is Find. And I'm going to show you one other thing here. What I did is I highlighted everything, and under the Annotation ribbon, I'm going to choose a different color type on here, just to make things a little easier to view. And so if using the Find, if it doesn't give you exactly what you need as far as the number of bands that are on here, you can click More to have it find more bands or fewer. But if doing the more and fewer doesn't give you the appropriate number of bands, you can go in and manually edit the bands. And so if it found something that is extraneous, you can highlight the band and just using the delete key on your keyboard, delete it. You can add bands on here also, just by using the add button and clicking where you want it to be. Now, if it found a doublet where you actually think it's a single, it should be a single band marker. If you highlight both of the bands, you can click Merge and turn that into a single band marker. So once you have edited your bands, defined what you need, you want to choose a molecular weight marker. And one of the presets that comes with this is the Lambda Hindi 3 marker. So I'm just going to choose that one. And I'm just going to use one marker lane. You can use up to 3 if you want, but I'm just going to use 1 for this particular image. Now, if the marker lane was not in the left-hand lane, that's where Image Studio assumes that you have run it. If you highlight this M1 and move this, now this becomes your marker lane. So it's pretty straightforward on how to set up your marker lane. Now, if you click Review right here, it will show you the weights that it's using for doing this analysis. And I see that I do need to go back and make some alterations to my band markers here. It actually did not find the correct number of bands. Now, this illustrates the point that it does need to be accurate as far as the highest molecular weights on here, because under the review, previously I did not have this set correctly, so the molecular weights that are defined on here were not mapped to the appropriate locations on this. So under the review, if you have more weights in this list than there are bands on here, it assumes that the lowest molecular weights have been run off the bottom of the gel. But it is important to make sure that the highest molecular weights are defined correctly, because it uses this value here as the highest molecular weight right here when determining the molecular weights of your samples. Now, if you've used a marker other than the Hindi 3 marker, you can add your own in here. And so if you click the Options button under the marker lanes, you can add a new marker. Give it a name, type in the values for the molecular weights, and then click OK, and then then you can use that for doing your molecular weight determinations. Background subtraction, you can use either the average, median, or lane settings. The lane is good if you have some well-defined bands. If you have a lot of bands on here that you're not going to be sizing or quantifying, then that's probably not the most appropriate method to use. You can use the average or median. And when choosing the average or median, you also have the option of which segments of the box you want to use for doing the background subtraction. And if you are using the average and median, it's a good idea to turn on under the show group this button that says local background, because you'll notice that there are secondary boxes that are added around the outside of these here. And what that corresponds to is, if I click on the median, you can set the border width anywhere from 1 to 5 pixels around the outside of the box, and then you can also choose the segments of the box that you want to use. The default setting is all, and you see here that this is the area that it's now using for doing the background subtraction. If you have some very small spaces between your lanes, or if you have some very intense bands that offers very little separation between the adjacent lanes, you probably want to choose top and bottom so that those adjacent lanes do not get into your background area and artificially make that background value too high. But again, if you have a lot of spurious bands on here that you do not want to quantify, you can also choose the right and left-hand sides of the box, so then it's only using this area between the lanes for doing the background subtraction. Under the show group, you can turn different things off and on. So if you want to do an export and work with just the image itself, you can turn off everything, export the image. Now, it does not delete any of this. It just hides them from view. You can also turn on quantification if you want. It does get a little busy on the screen if you have quantification turned on. And under the options button here, under the show, you can choose different parameters to be displayed on the screen. Down here on these different tabs, we have DNA gel lanes and DNA gel bands. DNA gel lanes, you can enter in information. You can rename the lane names if you want to, or you can enter in information about the sample that is contained in that lane. Under the DNA gel bands tab, this is where you get the information as far as the intensity, which is the signal, or the weight of the band right here is displayed under the size column. And when you want to export this, I'll be covering that in a later video for the tables ribbon, and image export will be covered under the application button ribbon a little later on. Thank you.